Hi, this is Owen Howe, one of the counselors here, and we're here to talk about financial aid and scholarships. I know many of you guys have started on your college applications, narrow down your list. I think one of the things that I tell people right now is make sure you understand the process of financial aid. You're not necessarily applying for financial aid today, but just making sure you know how the process works, because I don't want you to lose the prospect of being able to attend a great school because of their sticker price. Private colleges especially, routinely discount. So they know that money don't grow on trees. They know not all, a very small fraction of you have parents who could afford the full price at most private colleges. And I just want to get that point across, give you a little bit better idea of how the financial aid process works, so you could make the best decision possible. So, how much does college cost? Here at LaSalle, we mainly just focus on tuition. The there's no room and board. Books, there's some, a couple $100 a year. It's not a whole lot compared to how much you're going to spend in college for books. But there's going to be a lot more once you get to college. Tuition and mandatory fees. You'll find that for many years the UCs are forbidden to charge tuition, so they end up charging a plethora of fees instead, because they know they could raise fees, but they couldn't charge tuition. So a lot of schools still do that, to still do the same thing, but we could lump those two together. Books and supplies, room and board, miscellaneous, transportation. You need, you know, get around campus, get to and from campus. So there's definitely some transportation involved. And the sum of all these costs is the cost of attendance, COA. And the cost of attendance will vary quite a bit depending on where you go. So, using the example of Cal State LA, it's one of the least expensive for your options because you could live at home and commute. This is quoted straight from their website. So, their tuition and fees are $6,700, books and supplies $1,200, room and board $9,900, miscellaneous transportation, so forth, yada yada yada. And personally, I think room and board should be a little lower than that, because you're living with your parents. But remember, you still have to eat. And if you don't live there, your parents could really rent out your room. So there's opportunity costs involved too. And so the total cost of attendance at Cal State LA is $22,194. At USC, one of the more expensive colleges, and if you live on campus, it's a lot more money. So things like books and supplies are going to be fairly similar. USC actually budgets less for miscellaneous and transportation would make sense because you're living on campus. You don't have to spend as much money getting to and from campus each day. And so their total cost of attendance is 81,000 and change. Huge difference. Give me a second. So we hear the word financial aid get branded about, but what exactly does it mean? So financial aid is a very simple idea. The idea is simple. The details, the devil is in the details. Cost of attendance minus effective family cost of contribution. So how much can your family afford equals financial aid. That's it. Okay. We just talked about the cost of attendance. The colleges published this, but we don't know how much financial aid your family would receive if you don't know what your family's EFC is. And a lot of the strategy, a lot of the planning involves figuring out estimating what your EFC is so you could figure out whether you qualify for financial aid or not at many of the colleges you're applying to. Okay, so how is your family's EFC calculated? It's calculated with your FAFSA. The FAFSA is a form used by the federal government. It's located on studentaid.gov, and all colleges use it. Some private schools will also use an additional form called a CSS profile. We'll talk about that in a different conversation, but all colleges use the FAFSA. And the purpose of the FAFSA, really just one purpose: determines how much your family can afford. How much your family could afford to pay for your college education. It's free, and you apply each year. You're in college. Opens on October 1st every year. There's no huge rush to get the FAFSA done on October 1st, but realistically, you want to just get it done before Christmas. It's fine. So the sooner you and your family complete the FAFSA, the sooner just one less thing to do on your to-do list. The FAFSA uses your family's financial information. They call it prior. So you will graduate in 2022. Your FAFSA will be the 2022-2023 FAFSA. So this is the school year you're going to be in college. And they will use your family's information, financial information from the 2020 tax year. So the good thing is that has already happened. And so vast majority of your parents have already filed their taxes, gotten their tax returns. So all this information is there. They don't have, they should need to wait for updated information because all this information happened last year. These are 5 main factors considered for calculating the EFC. They'll be looking at your income and your parents' income. They'll be looking at your assets and your parents' assets. Looking at your household size. Obviously, the more dependents, the more people your parents have to support, the less money they would have to be able to afford college for you. Number of students in college, same idea. Age of the older parent. The closer your parents are towards retirement age, the less resources they have on paying for your college. Okay. Why is my picture here not moving? This is odd. Okay, I'm not going to worry about my picture. I'm not sure. FAFSA process. Okay, so you and your parents complete the FAFSA separately. You'll complete your part, the student information, which schools you're planning to apply to. Your parents will fill out their part. The reason why you two have to fill it out separately is they have found instances of fraud in the past where parents are filling out for the student, and they would end up using the loans that's qualified by the student and not paying it back. So they were using the students. Yeah, they were using the students' student loans. So that's a problem. Usually 2 days later, 3 days later, you'll receive an email from the Student Aid Commission telling you with a student aid report. The student aid report really contains one piece of information: is your family's effective family contribution, your family's EFC. It should be anywhere between $0 to $99,999. This is how much they expect your family will be able to contribute for you to go to college financially. Stays the same regardless of college. And then the SAR gets forwarded to the colleges because you list on step 1, you list where you're going, where you have applied to. That information gets forwarded to the college's financial aid office. The colleges will use it to generate financial aid packages. And then you will receive your financial aid award. Typically, you will get your financial aid award about 2 weeks after you get your acceptance letter, because the colleges have to figure out who they're accepting first before they let the financial aid office figure out financial aid packages, because what's the point of spending time to work on a student's financial aid package if that student isn't going to be admitted? So that's the reason for the delay. And there's an appeals process available too. So if if the 2020 was a great year for your parents financially, but 2021 is a terrible year, you could appeal and provide information to the colleges so that they could adjust your financial aid package. And however, you do have to appeal individually. Okay. You could. The good thing is you could make review and make changes if needed to your FAFSA. So that helps. But if you need to appeal, you have to appeal to each school individually. So that's why you don't necessarily want to apply to 15 different schools and deal with 15 different financial aid packages. Ah, let me see this. Okay. Oh, now the camera's back up. So LaSalle's tuition is about 23,000, a little over 23. So just using, let's say your family could afford LaSalle. This is your family CFC. So if you're going to UC Santa Cruz and living on campus, cost of attendance is about 38,000. Your EFC is 23,000 because the FAFSA calculated your family could afford $23,000 a year. You would qualify for about $15,000 worth of financial need. That's how much need you have. With University of San Diego, cost of attendance is 70,000. EFC is 23,000. Same example, you qualify for $47,848 of financial need at University of San Diego. Okay, so now you know how much need you have. It's the college's financial aid office that determines how your need is met. And financial aid award packages are going to be broken down in three parts. Grants, you get some free money. Get loans. You have different types of loans. The good one is subsidized loans. Subsidized loans are awesome. It's an interest-free loan until 6 months after you stop attending school. So even if you have no need, even if you qualify for a subsidized loan, I would definitely say yes to it, even if you don't have a huge need for it. Because worst case scenario, you could invest it in the stock market and it should pay more than 0% return. Work study. Work study is a job on campus. The reason why work study is considered financial aid is because the federal government pays half of your salary. So if you work at the campus bookstore for $20 an hour, the college is actually paying you below minimum wage because the federal government pays the other $10 an hour. So it's a win-win for you and a win for the college. Win for the student typically is because work study jobs tend to pay better than off-campus jobs. For the college, obviously, they're able to pay you below minimum wage, and it's good for them. I try to simplify the type of aid. There are gift aid, money that you get for free. So it could be a scholarship, merit scholarship, could be a talent scholarship, service scholarship, academic scholarship, athletic scholarship. These are all scholarships. Grants is going to be based on financial need. They are really this one and the same. All right, doesn't really matter. Money is money. The good thing is you don't have to pay it back. So these two parts are given by the colleges. There's also money from the federal government. The Pell and the SEOG are based on financial need. And so the colleges will automatically consider, if you qualify for these federal grants, the college will, it's not their money, so they're going to give that away first. Same thing with states. Here in the state of California, there's something called the Cal Grant. Cal Grant is for California students attending college in California. There is an income and a asset requirement, and you're looking at, I would say probably about 20% of our students, 25% of our students will qualify for the Cal Grant. So it is a pretty significant grant. If you're going to a UC, it's $10,000, a little over $10,000 a year. If you go to a private college, about $9,000 a year. So it is a pretty significant chunk of money. The purpose of it is they want to encourage students to stay in state for college. Then the other part is called self-help. Self-help could be getting a job or student loans. That would be considered self-help. And okay, so some key points, as I mentioned before, just sum it up. Some of these key points is important. The more resources the college has, and the more desirable the student is, the better the financial aid award package. I'll say that again. The more resources the college has, and the more desirable the student is, the better the award package. One reason why the more schools are, some of the schools are more selective than others because they have more money. That's really number one reason why certain schools are more selective is they have more money to give. More money to give means they could attract more students. More money to give means they could give better financial aid packages. However, we also know vast majority of colleges, there are finite resources, just like LaSalle. And the more desirable the student is, perhaps might be better GPA, it might be certain talents, it might be contributing to diversity. It could be a lot of different. Desirability could mean a lot of different things, and it could mean quite differently to each college. And as college counselors, our job is help you sort through. We have a decent idea what each school is looking for, and our goal is make sure that you get the best award package possible at whichever school you're going to go and whichever school you're getting into. It is very rare to get a full ride. Um, Even the colleges would say 100% tuition scholarship. Remember, it's just tuition. You still might have to pay for expenses, room and board, personal expenses, transportation, quite a few other things. Don't expect to go, if you have financial need, don't expect to get, you can't expect to get a full scholarship or a full financial aid package. So a good financial aid award package is going to be between $5,000 to $7,000 in loans a year. So you're probably graduating around $20,000 in debt. Just not a lot for getting a college degree. Remember, for these subsidized loans, if you end up taking a subsidized loan, you may want to work during the summer to pay off your subsidized loans and lower your balance, so you would have less to pay off when you graduate. Okay, the worst part is you take on student loans and you don't graduate. And the key is get a degree. And the sooner you get your degree, the more earning power you're going to have. And we don't recommend taking more than $10,000 in student loans per year. The good thing is the colleges know it too. And sometimes the colleges will give you a crappy financial aid package. They just don't have enough resources. You're not, quote unquote, desirable enough. You are admissible, but not necessarily desirable. And I've seen packages where your need is $30,000 and a college only gives you $20,000 a year in the financial aid package. They forgot to mention what happened to the last $10,000. Remember, your parents are going to be paying for you to go to college. It might be a lot, might be a little, but they're going to pay for something. The last thing you want is for your parents to take a loan to pay for you when they're already paying. So please, if you end up getting into that situation, make sure I just want you to make the right decision. I can't make this decision for you. I'm not paying for college. I'm already paying for one to going to college. It's already a lot of money. I'm not paying for more children, especially those who aren't mine. We hear a lot about outside scholarships. Your parents also hear a lot about outside scholarships. Few things to start. The majority of the scholarship money will be awarded by the colleges themselves. The colleges have the most money to give out. And the good thing is there's vast majority, 80 to 90% of the scholarship money you'll be automatically considered. You don't need to fill out a special application. There are some exceptions. Anything that's leadership related, talent based, scholarship service based, you'll probably need to complete a special application. But vast majority of the money will be awarded. The colleges want to give you the best deal. If they know that if your financial aid package, your scholarship / financial aid package isn't good enough, you're going to consider somewhere else. They're going to put the best foot forward. Many national and local organizations also award scholarships. So things like or it's like the Bill Gates Millennium Scholarship, Coca-Cola Scholarship. These are some of the biggest elephants out there. And then there's many smaller scholarships, like be the local Rotary Club, the Kiwanis Club, Chamber of Commerce. Your local Chamber of Commerce keeps track of organizations that give out scholarships. And the reason why many local organizations give out scholarships, it's great PR. You're not giving a lot of money away, but you get recognized. These organizations get recognized for doing good things. So there are it's like looking for needles in a haystack, but there are lots of needle in this haystack. So it pays to look. Fastweb.com, scholarships.com. These are some of the larger databases. And we also list them out and be in the know here at LaSalle. We have quite a few scholarships listed. We're planning to add more scholarships into our website this year. So be on the lookout for that. And as I mentioned, start with some of the local ones. And some strategies, as I said, start local. Local clubs, your Sierra Madre, there's the Women's Club, the Civic Club. These two organizations give out small scholarships every year, but they do give out money, and in many cases, it's just for Sierra Madre residents. You notice that I have the Elks highlighted. The reason is if you live in Pasadena, the Elks Club give away more money than any other organizations in the greater Pasadena area. They make a vast majority of their money through the Rose Parade because their lodge is right on the parade route. And because they are a nonprofit, they have to give the money back. The Elks Club, their scholarship deadline's typically in early November. So be on the lookout for that. Do some research, especially if you live in the city of Pasadena. So organization called GoingMerry.com or website. It's a good source of local scholarships. Going Merry is trying to be like the common application for college apps. It's a common scholarship application. So they're trying to partner up with lots of local organizations where you could use one application and apply to a bunch of scholarships. Good thing about the local scholarships, you're fewer competition. Using the example of the Sierra Madre, there's only so many people applying for scholarships in the city of Sierra Madre. Your chances of getting that scholarships is a lot better than if you're competing with a national, in a national scholarship where you might be competing with hundreds and thousands of people. Big elephants are great. The ones that pay for, $30, $40, $50, $60,000 full room and board and tuition. But remember, everybody's hunting for them too. But they are there. We've seen students getting it. Rare, but we do. They're there, and people can get those. Please note, many bigger scholarships have fall deadlines, and many of the smaller scholarships have spring deadlines. Treat it as a job where you could make $50 to $100 an hour. If you end up spending 20 hours researching and applying for scholarships, and you got two $500 scholarships, then you made $50 an hour. Okay, $1,000 might be a drop in the bucket compared to how much college costs, but there aren't that many jobs you could do legally where you make $50 an hour. So you have to think of it like that. Ask your parents to help with the research. Please don't ask your parents to apply for scholarships for you. Please don't ask your parents to apply to colleges for you. That's even worse. Please don't. It's you. You have to do it. But your parents can help research and identify scholarships that you should apply to. Some final words in conclusion. I think for me, don't get scared off by a college's price tag. Vast majority of students are getting discounted. They don't pay the sticker price. You get what you paid for also, especially at private schools. Better facilities, smaller classes, better academic support, 4-year graduation rate. You just get to become much more of a participant than a spectator, especially if you could get a great financial aid package. Decide on where you go after seeing the financial aid awards. I don't want you to lose out on prospective opportunities. Sometimes if the money is great, hey, let's give them another look. If the money isn't there, be ready to say no, thank you. Just be ready to move on if the money isn't good enough. And remember, the point is still finding the right fit. You want to get a good education with a successful outcome, have a great experience, and at a place where your parents could afford. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, please feel free to speak to your college counselor, and I'll be back with your mentor for the next exercise. Thank you.